Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello there, Merry Christmas. We were still in celebration mood. Yesterday was the birth of our Lord Jesus, Christmas Day. And here is wishing you a Merry Christmas from Leadership Television Studios. My name is Winifred Webo, and we are on the program Money Radio. With me in the studio is an in-house analyst, Kingsley Alu. He is the editor of National Economy. Kingsley, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you so much. Yes, we are reviewing today's lead story on National Economy, sister publication of Leadership newspaper. Let's see what Leadership sister publication National Economy is leading with today, Monday, December 26, 2023. The cover story says Nigeria's wobbling economy sparks little hope for 2023. Nigeria's wobbling economy sparks little hope for 2023. We have both pictures there on the cover underneath the story. We had a picture of President Muhammadu Buhari, the CBN governor, Emefiele. We have unemployment. We have budget deficit, including the Minister of Finance and fuel queue. Underneath the leading story, Nigeria's wobbly economy sparks little hope for 2023. These pictures or images are also pointers to the leading story, what Nigerians are currently facing, talking about fiscal scarcity, budget deficit, and unemployment. Yes, we also have unemployment. We have a Naira redesign that is generating so much furor in the society, and we also have loans. Nigeria is indebted to quite a huge sum of money. Kingsley, your views. Nigeria's wobbling economy sparks little hope for 20. Perhaps you begin to shed light on those images that you used to capture the story.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, there was hope that maybe towards the end of this year, that the government would have been able to, at least to some extent, notch the economy a bit higher. That has not happened. And if you look at the genesis of this, it started from 2016. There were some factors that actually, really made this. 2016, the price of oil, of course, came crashing. Yes. It affected Nigeria. And then by 2020, we had COVID. And so these twin factors were actually more of the precursor to what we are experiencing now. While Nigeria was able to quickly, to some extent, recover from the COVID-19.
Yes, Nigeria, actually, it's something that was many Nigerians gave kudos to the CBN government for being able to stabilize. I remember leadership gave him award that time for being able to stabilize the economy at the time, given the impact of COVID-19 on almost some nations, major nations of the world. Yes. But what happened?
Yeah, a lot happened. I will rightly maybe
after stabilizing the economy, here we are.
Yeah, poor policy implementation gap is one of them. But look at this. When at the time Nigeria recovered from the COVID, government also pegged the GDP, at 4.1. It was for the forecast was to grow at the rate of 4.1%. Then later it readjusted it to 3.1%. But they were able to do 3.5%. To that much. But the thing is that a lot of factors are actually government has not really been able to address some of those things. Now, if you look at the MBA statistics, for instance, let's even start with
We
the
had about 20, not 20,
133 million Nigerians.
yes,
already.
and we also had an inflation rate of about
21%.
Yes,
Now, when you look at that inflation rate, that is just this outrageous, because for emerging economies globally, it was pegged at 10.5%. Then for developed economies, 8.8%. So if for emerging economies you have 10.5%, and your country is doing 21%, that means there must be a really serious problem on ground. So this is one of them. Then also, when you look at that statistics released by NGS, where 110 million Nigerians have already gone into poverty, contrary to what the government said earlier in the day, that they are going to put 100 million from out of poverty, 133 join the poverty bracket. Now, if you still break it down further, the statistics show that 5% of Nigerians this year, one, their purchasing power was eroded. So that 5% of Nigerians entered into extreme poverty. 31% were moderately entered into poverty. Then only 21% near poverty. The statistics also show that 17% were the only class that were able to hold jobs that enabled them to some extent escape that poverty bracket. So this is a really serious issue for government. Not to take off even the budget deficit. Fiscal Responsibility Act stipulates 3%, not more than 3%. But this government has done more than 5%. It's another problem. Then again, we will look at, of course, the issue of subsidy.
Yes.
In this year alone, government has done $9.6 billion subsidy.
That's about in naira, about trillion.
It's in trillion, over 4 trillion.
Yes.
Now, it is projected in 2023. By the time they leave, because what they did was to shift the goalposts. They say by June, there will be a country will stop subsidizing petroleum products and others. By that time, it's estimated that they would have spent $16 billion. $16 billion. So the question is, one, this is a government in serious debt. Two, you are spending this much. Of course, infrastructure.
But if I also may chip in from that angle too, talking about a subsidy, for paying so much for subsidy, the product is scarce. We are not getting the product.
That's the corruption.
Since February, remember?
Yes.
When it was said that marketers imported adulterated fuel.
Yes.
Since that time, the fuel supply has not been stabilized. We still have long queues. And during the rainy season, we were told that because of the rain, the floods in Lokoja, some of the trucks carrying these products were locked down, so they couldn't come. The clouds, the rains came and left, and it's still the same issue as we speak.
It boils down to what government already knows: corruption. See, these people will come, they keep telling us figures that you and I don't even know how they arrive at. Government also knows that these things are, they can't just tell what's going on in that sector. Okay, fine, you will do away with this. Well, I'm fine. But by the time you're done, you would have spent close to $16 billion doing that.
Doing subsidizing a product that is scarce.
Scarce.
That is not in the market.
That's not in the market. So some few persons, corrupt individuals, a rogue gallery of marketers and their clique are just the ones busy having a field day, having a bazaar. Okay? Now, that aside, you also look at the issue of insecurity. It has not abated, it has not abated in 2022. In fact, there were the figures, earlier figures we had between even January to around June, about 6,000 people were killed, slaughtered in the conflict. And it has not yet slowed. The number still keeps rising. We don't even have at the moment now only official statistics because, of course, you know.
Yes, 2 months ago or thereabout, the Punch newspaper carried the story that about 52,000 Nigerians killed under this administration. And many Nigerians also were of the opinion that those were even the official ones. What about those that were not even reported?
Those not reported. And it bet you me sometimes also, so even the ones you think are reported are doctored. Because if you are to get the true figure, you know, Come on, this country, something people may not take it lightly, but it goes to tell you these are events in 2022, you know, that may not make it easy for the country to move forward in 2023. There was also issue of maybe who takes the baton from the Mr. President. Because whoever is coming now, you have huge task on your hand. You are going to contend with a lot of things. Then, of course, we look at the issue of the exchange rate.
Yes.
For which, right now, we know that the CBN governor is actually on the hot seat now.
Now, it oscillates between
750
to 800.
800.
Yes.
And in some cases, it has even moved to 900. It depends on if you're urgently you need it, and there is this what we're saying. This is the parallel market. In the parallel market, it's not that static.
And we saw a steady rise over the 8 years, almost 8 years of this administration.
Yes.
Because when they took over, I think it was just about 190 or 90 or so.
187.
187 years. And now it's about the administration 8 years. Running to about 8 years is about 758.
800, yeah.
And the incumbent, really just what you said, 2023 is going to take over.
Yeah, whoever is going to take over, that is why also it is important Nigerians choose wisely this time around. Because it's not like where you say I have a little breathing space, I could do one or two things. It's gotten to that choking point where if you make any mistake, come 2023, in choosing who leads this country, moving forward, many people, we are looking at 133. Out of that now, it's like 17% can at least be able, they are earning wages that are able to enable them to balance to some extent. That number will further slide. That number, there have been some official, projections in some quarters where they were saying that if we got it wrong this time around, what is going to happen is that 17% may come down to 7%.
However, on the issue of insecurity, where the present administration always turns their chest that actually when they came in, some local governments or some states, it's where in the north, it's where the hands of Boko Haram, and that presently that's not the issue.
Have they solved the problem? They have not. Kidnapping is still on the rise. Banditry is still on the rise. Terrorists are having a field day. Okay? So, but that's not to mean say they are not working. They are doing. But when you look at the resources at your disposal, it's also a factor. And of course, you also look at the challenge now they are having within the military circles, where somebody said this is someone who voted for so thing. We have seen soldiers actually revolting.
So how far has corruption also contributed to this mandate we have today? Because many people also criticize the administration that corruption has also contributed, has also played a key role in crippling the economy. Because we had the accountant general who invested
100 billion,
and even the present CBN governor is also being accused.
Yes, for the accountant general, yes, but for the CBN, personally, I think it's just political. I feel the man came up with a policy that is touching some policy that may one way or the other affect some persons. Okay, so this is 2023 by the corner. That policy will affect the movement of cash, the flow of cash. And these guys, during election period, they need to move cash. They need to move cash. They need to put money in people's hands. So it is, personally, I think that this is the reason why they are fighting the CBN government. He's come up with a good policy. There's nothing wrong with, you say you want to, now if you have 80% of your currency in private hands, only less than 20% in the banks, why wouldn't you have inflation? And the man is, I want to rein in all some of these things now. Let me redesign this. You are given a deadline, whatever you have in your house, bring it to the banks. After the expiration of this deadline, that money, consider it gone. And they are kicking. So that one is political.
Okay, let's go on a break. When we go back, we have so much to discuss on the leading story of the national economy. Well, we ask, don't go away. Stay tuned.
sponsorship, and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, it's Money Radio on Leadership Television. Me in the studio is an in-house analyst, the editor of National Economy, Mr. Ali. And my name is Winfred Bobo. We are looking at Nigeria's wobbly economy, sparks little hope for 2023. And incidentally, there is a leading story on national economy is what the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, also has been saying that he's of the opinion that the next incoming administration is not going to have it easy for the next 3 years.
Yes.
Yes, that is going to be rough.
Yeah.
So what do we expect?
We don't expect a smooth year come 2023. It's really going to be rough. Like the governor said, like they are right. It's going to be rough. Where do you even start from? Are you going to start looking at how do I reduce this alarming statistics on poverty? Are you going to look at the issue of subsidy? Are you going to look at how do I address insecurity? How do we even address the case of corruption that has eaten so deep into the fabric now? How do we even tackle malaise of so many issues? Then, of course, you look at the workers that have been protesting. How do we even address the issues that, especially for
ASU, because up to now, they were just practically forced by the courts to go back to the
classroom. Then, of course, you look at the people, the labor. Labor has been protesting as well. Look at the textile industry that's already dead. How do we even revive this industry?
Revive the economy.
Revive the economy.
Many companies, international, they are leaving.
Yes, they are leaving.
Of course, attracting foreign direct.
Yes. Then you look at the issue of even the oil theft. How do you even address the issue of oil theft? That's not just enough. When you are even done with addressing all those things now, then the thing is that now, these are corruption. How do we arrest corruption?
That brings us to this issue of talking about these issues that is going to shape the next administration. But incidentally, I don't see any of the political gladiators for the post of the number one position actually talk how to address issues. It's just, we will do it. But they've not actually come out to say, this is what we are going to do to tackle this sector. This is what we are going to do in this particular area.
Yeah, I think in fairness to some of them, not all of them, there was about one or two of them.
It's only recently, I think it was just last week, Friday, that the APC presidential candidate talked about removing subsidy, that even despite the protest, that is going to come up as a result of this going to remove subsidy. And we've also heard from the PDP presidential candidate saying that he's going to sell the refineries and open the borders.
Yeah, if they
generated some flats from section of Nigerians. So why are they not talking to these issues?
The thing is that talk is cheap. In 2015, the government said at the time they were campaigning that students in the university will be given scholarship. 4 years will be 4 years. 5 years will be 5 years. You and I know what is happening today.
And those that without job will be given 5,000.
5,000. You and I know what is happening today. So the same government that told us 4 years will be 4 years, students will be given scholarship, and the same government that are allowing us to go on strike.
The dollar will be $1.
So many of those kind of cheap talks. So talk is cheap. But what we are looking at, those who mean well for the economy among the candidates, because it's only the right candidate that can address this problem. If we still want to play to the gallery, then we are going to come back to square zero, where the problem started, and we'll still live with the same problem, because the same people that also told you and lied to you, and we are running their mouth what they will do and what they will not do. You will be left to be saddled with the same people. So I think in 2023, you are right, you point out. But I know one or two of them in some of those town hall meetings, have been able to tell us, we'll do this, we'll address this, we'll close this gap, we'll make sure that some of all those areas that are leaking, we'll make sure we plug them. We've had them. We will pray that whoever takes over reins of power from Mr. President will be able to deliver on that. Then, of course, not even forgetting the issue of power. The issue of power.
The issue of power is a key issue.
It's a very key issue.
Energy security.
Yeah, it's a very key issue. Government has made some bold moves. Remember the counter example we see in of Germany, But then we need somebody that can continue with that vision and bring it to fruition. And most importantly, policies that are tailored towards the grassroots, to address grassroots issues that will lift people in those class out of that bracket, poverty bracket, is very, very important. The new government must be able to come up with, we have had a lot of schemes, a lot of programs they say they are doing. But at the end of the day, plus or minus, you and I know that most of these programs have not been able to deliver. I can tell you the Anchor Borrowers program. It has been a mainstream controversy ever since. Monies were given, government meant well.
Yes.
Monies were released. But somewhere along the line, some persons who love to cut corners hijack the process, use some proceeds to collect monies that were never returned. Okay? So right now, CBN is having challenge of recouping the money that was given. This NISA that is actually, what was supervising is also having challenge. There are issues. So you just need somebody who can demonstrate that political way to be able to say, if you spot corruption anywhere, you deal with it. So these are the issues, grassroots-oriented programs, grassroots that can deliver. It's very, very necessary. So those 133 can at least come out of that poverty bracket. Because if you check those 133, statistics-wise, these ones are not too educated. You understand?
Yes.
These ones are not too educated. They don't have their degrees like you and I. Some of them also do have degrees, but there's no job for them. Some of them have finished school for the past 11, 12 years. They don't have job. So they are forced to do whatever comes they can lay their hands on. So government that is coming must be able to look at these things squarely and address them. If they can do it, cop oil theft, arrest terrorism, because these guys are having a field day. No part of the country is safe anymore. It has spread from the northeast to northwest. It has spread all to southwest to southeast.
South.
Everywhere now is just a field day. And when you look at the military, the soldiers, number of soldiers we have at the moment in the country, it's no match to those Bajun numbers they have there. So whoever is coming must be able to find a way of dealing with this issue of insecurity. When they're able to tidy it up, then look at also all these borrowing left, right, and center they have been doing. What have they been able to achieve? Of course, it might have been interesting to know certain rail projects now have been suspended because, according to the minister, the Chinese say they will not lend us money anymore. So those projects, for the moment and the time, is now on a standstill, pending when government gets money. So these are issues that must be tackled. And then, of course, look at the issue of these manufacturers. They have complained. High taxation. They have complained over time and time again. And for crying out loud, this is an economy that you want to pick up. And at the same time, you are strangling those that will help us to really push it up. So government must also look at the taxes. Look at even other economies, not even too far, in Africa, that are doing well. What are they doing that you are not doing? There's nothing wrong in copying, but you have to copyright. Let them look at it. Because whatever policy that does not transcend to the pocket, we are not talking about, it's not the figure, statistics. That one is grammar for the elite. When you say that 5% in this, 21% inflation, the man in the street cannot relate to those figures. They can't relate. That is grammar. All he wants to know is that I went to market today, I bought this before, it used to be 200 naira, now it is 70 naira. That is the only way they can attack or measure growth or what you may call success. So, okay,
Okay, sorry, just you talked about you really expatiated on insecurity, and is this insecurity also that has also impacted negatively on our food too,
Yeah.
agriculture. Farmers can no longer go to their farms.
Of course.
So what do we have? We have rising inflation, especially with food
Yes.
prices.
Yes.
You go to the market and the prices keep skyrocketing.
Yes. They can't go, not to talk of even the recent flood incidents we had.
Yes.
Of course, that flood incident was just,
But the main one is insecurity because some places in the northeast,
yes,
places like Zamfara,
Yeah.
they pay tax to these terrorists
Bandits and terrorists.
yes, to allow them to access their farms.
Yeah,
Which
they
is-
do.
which is
So
very, very
these
bad.
are things government must squarely face these issues and address them. No hanky panky this time, because the problem is that at some point, by the way, when you want to sell an idea to people, they also want to know if you really meant what you're saying. But if you check the body language now, it would appear that some person somewhere may be aiding and abetting what is going on in the country at the moment. So we need a government that can restore some measure of confidence. People have to believe in the government. There has to be some levels of trust, so they can cooperate and then be able to weed out these bad elements that are now terrorizing everywhere. If they can do that, every other thing will just naturally take shape. But for the moment, now government has a lot to do. The incoming administration has a lot to do.
Has a lot on his hands.
On his hands to do. So
already.
Yeah, so it's not about telling 2023, they say Happy New Year. Then you say prosperity. It's not, it doesn't work like that.
February now, we have just about how many weeks to go?
Yes. You look at other developed economies, what they are thinking is, what system are we going to use to arrest this? So now government, new incoming, this regime is already gone.
It's already gone.
We are looking at the new regime. It has to mean business. It has to. And some of these individuals that have been found wanting, EFCC should move on them. The era of hearing that baboon swallowed 70 million, snake swallowed 100 and something million, monkey swallowed this one and that one. Those kind of stories, we don't want to hear them again. So whoever is coming must be able to know that there are issues to be addressed. All these policy implementation gaps has to stop. Government has to wake up and arrest. Then that way, maybe towards the end of the year, we may see a semblance of, something that looks a bit good.
It's not about churning out policies.
No, it's not. It's implementation, like you rightly put
Thank you
that.
so much. We have little time left, but let's quickly look at other stories we have on national economy. We have rescue 15 million Nigerian children from child labor now. Stakeholders tell federal government. The story is on page 5 of the paper. Staying alert against banking fraud during festivities. That story is on page 15 of the paper. On the street, underneath the paper is a strip why Nigerian masses should support cashless policy. The stories on page 9 of national economy. For more on the stories, you log on to the website and get more info. Well, viewers, this is where we end today's morning radio on Leadership Television. With me in the studio has been the editor of National Economic, Kingsley Ali. Kingsley, I look forward to seeing you same time,
Thank you.
same station next week. And I am Winifred Webo. Have a happy holiday season. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.